Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Podcastage. Today, I am going to be demoing Adobe Podcast A.I and sharing my thoughts on how it performs. If you don't know, Adobe Podcast A.I is currently in beta, and it is a service that allows you to upload a WAV or an MP3 file. The service then processes the audio, and the way that they market it is a way to remove background noise and sound like you recorded your audio in a professional studio. That's it. Let's get on with the video. Part 1. The demos and the tests. Test 1 is recording in a less than ideal environment. I am 6 feet away from my camera and I am recording the audio with a camera top microphone. The Rode Video Mic Go 2 Plus or something. This is the raw audio. And here is how the audio sounds once I run it through Adobe Podcast A.I. There is not too much background noise. This is mainly going to have to deal with the reverb of the room and the distance from the microphone. But here is how it is sounding. I will have been switching back and forth between the raw audio. This is the raw audio. And here is the processed Adobe Podcast A.I. audio. Which one do you prefer? Test number 2, what if you're out and about and you need to record something, but you only have your phone, so you have to record with the Voice Memo app? That is what you're listening to right now. This is the iPhone 10 recording directly in the native Voice Memo app, and now I have engaged the Adobe Podcast A.I. processing the enhanced audio. Here is the raw Voice Memo audio again. And now this is the processed audio through Adobe Podcast A.I. What do you think of it? Good, bad, or worse?
Test number 3. What if you have somebody calling into your podcast and they are using their cell phone and the audio sounds like absolute garbage like it does right now?
Then you could run it through Adobe Podcast A.I. and here is how it would sound with that processing. Again,
here is the raw, unprocessed phone call audio, which sounds like absolute garbage.
And now here is the phone call audio processed through Adobe Podcast A.I. Was this helpful for the audio, or did it just get worse? Let me know.
Can you pick that up? Oh, I'm not even processing it yet. I'm always disappointed in myself whenever I do this, even though I know I am doing it strictly for demonstration purposes. But what if you, or somebody that you are recording, is speaking into their microphone from the wrong angle? For this demonstration, I am using the Yeti in cardioid mode and speaking into the top of it. This is the raw audio, and here is the audio processed through Adobe Podcast A.I. We are back on the Blue Yeti, and I will go ahead and tap on my desk because people do this, and here is how it sounds. And now I am processing it through Adobe Podcast A.I. What do you think? Did it fix the audio or make it worse? This is insane. My noise floor is around minus 30 dB. But what if you have your gain set too high and you are clipping and distorting the entire recording? This is how that raw audio sounds. I will attenuate it so I don't blow your ears or your speakers. And here is how it sounds once we run it through Adobe Podcast A.I. This is one of the most difficult things to deal with, clipping and distorted audio. This is the raw version, and here is how it sounds once we run it through Adobe Podcast A.I. Yikes. Was this able to save and salvage this god-awful, painful audio? This just keeps on getting worse, but what if you have a bunch of background noise like a fan and you have a clickety-clackety keyboard going on around the microphone? This is the raw, unprocessed audio. And now we are running it through Adobe Podcast A.I. Can it save this abysmal affront on humanity back to the raw audio? Or is it going to be relegated to the depths of hell back to the processed audio from whence it came and from where it belongs? Can it fix it? We'll see. It's okay. Calm down. I'm just patting you on the head. Everything's going to be fine. We have decent audio again. And that's what this final test is. What will Adobe Podcast A.I. do to audio that sounds pretty good? Now I have engaged Adobe Podcast A.I. This is a good sounding microphone running through a great sounding outboard tube preamp. running through a really nice audio interface, recorded with good levels. Back to the raw audio. Here is how the raw audio sounds. And let's go ahead and engage the Adobe Podcast AI one more time right now. This is what Adobe does to audio that is recorded very well that already sounds great. Does it improve it? Does it degrade it? What do you think? Part 2, my thoughts. I think what Adobe Podcast AI really excelled at was first the background noise rejection. It did great at rejecting the clickety-clack of the keyboard, the fan noise from an air purifier and a computer, and the bumping of the desk. I also think it did a really nice job at removing the reverb from the untreated room. And then when we got to the clipping and distorted audio as well as the cell phone audio, I was hoping it was going to be able to work a little bit of magic, but I don't think it did a good job with either of those sound samples. And then we get to the biggest issue I have with Adobe Podcast AI. No matter the input source, no matter how high quality or how low quality, it ends up making the voice sound robotic. And I had somebody leave a comment describing this perfectly. Adobe Podcast AI makes your voice sound like you are a bad text-to-speech voice. Your voice no longer sounds natural. It sounds as though you typed out a bunch of words and made an AI voice speak them back. But as far as getting the best results out of Adobe Podcast AI, I thought when I was talking into the top of the Yeti or when I was inputting the high-quality audio in the last sample, that gave us the best results. In every other demonstration, in every other test, I thought the processing struggled and it did make the voice sound a bit too robotic, and it's nothing that I would end up using in a final published product. Part 3, who is this for? If you're recording clean-sounding audio with minimal background noise and the audio that you're recording is good enough that you would be okay publishing it, this is not for you. If you are looking for some kind of automatic post-processing, I don't think this is for you because it just makes every audio input sound as though you're recording with an SM7B with 3 fat foam windscreens on it, and you are now a robot. But if you're recording in an environment in a space that you don't have control over and the background noise is so excessive that the audio ends up being distracting for your audience, that's where I think this tool can come in handy. But I think it should be used sparingly, and if you can avoid using this, I think you should. Part 4, words of warning. I know how tempting it can be when these new tools come out to want to get a little bit lazy and assume that the state-of-the-art technology will fix any and all bad audio. I want to advocate that you do not adopt that mentality and that you do not become lazy. I think you should still be focusing on getting the best sounding audio before you hit record because there is still a law when it comes to recording. Garbage in, garbage out. And 10 times out of 10, if I had to pick between great sounding audio that was recorded well but is unprocessed and then audio that is processed through Adobe Podcast AI, I would select the raw unprocessed audio. Do not become lazy. Do not become complacent. Garbage in, garbage out. Part 5, the wrap-up. I think that Adobe Podcasting AI is an interesting tool, and I think that it has a lot of potential, but something bizarre has happened. Some of the initial tests that people sent me seemed to sound a lot better than the results that I was getting. Because of that, I think that Adobe Podcasting is in that phase that pretty much every single producer is familiar with. You turn the knobs on your plugins, you get the audio sounding exactly how you love it, and then you second guess yourself. And you turn the knobs more, left, right, and now the audio sucks. The audio is abysmal because you took the processing too far. And that is where I think Adobe Podcasting AI is right now. The processing is too aggressive, it is too noticeable, and it makes you sound robotic. So as it stands as of the 20th of February 2023, I think this should be your last line of defense if everything else you have tried has failed and you still have so much background noise that it's going to be distracting for your audience. That's where this comes into play. But I assume they are constantly training this, they are constantly tweaking the algorithm, they are constantly updating it. So who knows where this is going to be in 1 month, 6 months, or 1 year. But as of today, I don't like the sound of it. I think overall, it sounds pretty bad. It makes you sound like a robot, and I prefer the raw audio in pretty much every single case. That's going to wrap up this video, something a little bit different, but something that I find interesting. If you found it interesting, let me know in the comments down below. Are there any other tools that you want me to check out? Because this is pretty cool. Different kind of format, more testing. Let me know. If you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hated it, big ol' thumbs down. There's a video beneath me. YouTube thinks it's perfect for you. I agree. Click on it. Click on it. Click it! These people are amazing. They support the channel, and I will talk to you on a later date. You are a beautiful human being. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Whoa. Boop.